Welcome back to Girlfriend Betrayal Diaries. Have you ever trusted someone so much, only to have them break your heart in ways you never imagined? Let me know in the comments if you've ever experienced betrayal like this. And if you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe because today's story might just leave you questioning everything about love and trust. I used to think mornings were sacred. The soft hum of the coffee maker, the clink of a spoon against a ceramic mug, the way the sunlight spilled through the blinds in our little apartment. It was our ritual, mine and Ellie's. 5 years together, and those quiet moments felt like the glue that held us. She'd sit across from me at our chipped wooden table, her dark hair falling in loose waves over her shoulders, a sleepy smile tugging at her lips as she scrolled through her phone. I'd sip my black coffee, watching her, feeling this quiet pride that she was mine, that we'd built something real. But lately, those mornings had started to feel off. The coffee still brewed, the sun still shone, but Ellie's smile was tighter, her eyes darting to her screen a little too often, her fingers tapping out messages she'd tilt away from me to hide. I told myself it was nothing. Work stress, maybe. Ellie was a graphic designer, always juggling deadlines. I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid boyfriend who reads into every little thing. But the red flags were there, whispering in the back of my mind, and I couldn't shake them. My name's Jake, by the way. I'm 32, an IT guy who spends too much time staring at screens and not enough time asking questions. Ellie's 29, the kind of woman who lights up a room without trying. Sharp-witted, warm, the kind of laugh that makes you feel like you're in on the joke. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue, her flipping burgers in a sundress, me fumbling with a beer, and a bad pickup line about grill marks. She laughed anyway, and that was it. 6 months later, we moved in together. I'd never been the romantic type, but with Ellie, I wanted to be better. I saved up for a year to buy her a silver necklace with a tiny crescent moon pendant. She'd always loved stargazing. I cooked dinners when her projects ran late, listened when she vented about her asshole ex, Tyler, who cheated on her with half the town before she finally kicked him out. She said I was her safe place, her fresh start. And I believed her. God, I believed her. The first crack came about 3 months ago. We were on the couch, binge-watching some true crime show she loved, her legs draped over mine. Her phone buzzed, and she snatched it up faster than I'd ever seen, her thumbs swiping the screen dark before I could even glance over. Just a client, she muttered, but her voice had this edge. Too quick, too sharp. I let it go, chalking it up to my imagination. But then it happened again, and again. Late-night texts she'd answer in the bathroom. The door cracked just enough for me to hear the tap running to mask the sound. She started staying late at work, coming home with vague excuses, client meetings, team drinks, a project she couldn't talk about yet. Her perfume lingered longer, her makeup sharper, her eyes avoiding mine. I'd ask how her day was, and she'd shrug, fine, before burying herself in her phone again. The Ellie I knew, the one who'd ramble about her designs or tease me about my terrible taste in music, was slipping away, and I didn't know why. I tried to bridge the gap. I'd cook her favourite, spaghetti carbonara, hoping she'd sit, with me, talk like we used to. One night, I set the table, lit a candle even, and waited. She came home at 10 p.m, her hair mussed, her blouse wrinkled in a way that didn't match her usual polish. Sorry, babe, crazy day, she said, barely, looking at me as she grabbed a plate and ate standing at the counter, texting with one hand. Who's that? I asked, keeping my tone light, casual. She froze, just for a second, then flashed a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Just Sarah. Girl stuff. Sarah was her best friend, but I hadn't seen her around in weeks. My stomach twisted, but I nodded, swallowing the doubt like a bitter pill. I didn't want to believe it. Not Ellie, not us. The suspicion gnawed at me, slow and relentless, like a splinter working its way deeper. I started noticing things I'd ignored. The faint scent of cologne on her jacket, not mine. The way she'd jump when I walked into a room. the half-empty wine bottle in the fridge she swore she hadn't touched. I'd lie awake at night, her breathing soft beside me, wondering if I was losing my mind or losing her. I wasn't proud of it, but I checked her phone one night while she showered. The screen was locked. New passcode. One I didn't know. That was the moment the doubt turned into something darker, something I couldn't ignore. I needed answers, so I did what any desperate man would. I hired a private investigator. His name was Mitch, a grizzled guy with a smoker's rasp and zero bullshit. $2,000, and I'll get you the truth, he said over the phone. I wired the money, my hands shaking, knowing whatever he found would change everything. 2 weeks later, Mitch called me to a diner on the edge of town. He slid a manila envelope across the table, his face unreadable. "You sure you want this, kid?" he asked. I nodded, my throat dry, and tore it open. Photos spilled out. Ellie, my Ellie, laughing in a dimly lit bar, her hand on a man's arm. More shots. Her climbing into his car, a sleek black Mustang I'd never seen. The two of them outside a motel, his lips on hers, her fingers tangled in his hair. The timestamps burned into my vision. Late nights she'd said she was working. The man's face was blurry in some shots, but one close-up hit me like a punch. Tyler, her ex, the cheating bastard she'd cried over, the one she swore she'd never forgive. My chest tightened, the air in the diner too thick to breathe. Mitch watched me, pity in his eyes. "There's audio too," he said, sliding a USB drive over. "You don't have to listen, but it's there." I didn't thank him. I couldn't speak. I just took the envelope and stumbled back to my car, the world tilting under my feet. That night, I plugged the USB into my laptop, my hands trembling as I hit play. Ellie's voice crackled through my headphones, light and teasing, the way she used to sound with me. "You're such an idiot, Ty," she giggled. His low chuckle followed. "Yeah, but you love it." A pause, then her voice again, softer, conspiratorial. "Jake's clueless. Thinks I'm at work. God, he's so boring, always hovering, asking questions. You're the only one who gets me." Tyler laughed, loud and smug. "Poor bastard. Bet he's cooking you dinner right now, waiting like a damn puppy." She laughed too, sharp and cruel. "Probably. Let him. Makes it easier. To sneak out." The recording cut off, but the sound of her mocking me echoed in my skull, slicing through every memory I'd held dear. 5 years. 5 years of love, trust, sacrifice, and she'd turned me into a joke. I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch, the envelope beside me, replaying every moment I'd missed. The next morning, Ellie breezed in from work, all smiles and lies. "Morning, babe," she chirped, pouring coffee like nothing was wrong. I watched her, my heart a lead weight in my chest, and decided today was the day. "Ellie," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "We need to talk." She froze, mug halfway to her lips, her eyes narrowing just enough to betray her. "About what?" she asked, too casual. I leaned back in my chair, folding my arms. "About where you've been, who you've been with." Her face paled, but she recovered fast, setting the mug down with a clink. "What's that supposed to mean?" she snapped. I slid the envelope across the table, photos spilling out like a confession. "It means I know about Tyler." The room went silent, the air thick with her guilt. She stared at the photos, her mouth opening then closing, searching for a lie that wouldn't come. Finally, she straightened, her chin lifting defiantly. "So what? I was going to tell you. Tyler and I, it's not cheating if I'm honest about it now." I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound that startled even me. "Honest? You've been screwing him for months, Ellie, mocking me behind my back. I heard you. Jake's clueless. Jake's boring. That's your honesty?" Her eyes flashed, but she didn't flinch. "You don't own me, Jake. I have needs you can't meet. Tyler gets me. Always has. You're just safe. Too safe." The words hit like knives. each one sharper than the last, but what broke me was her smirk, that smug twist of her lips like I was beneath her pity. Then the door buzzed. Ellie frowned, but I knew who it was. I'd texted Sarah, her best friend, the one she'd name-dropped as her alibi. Sarah walked in, all wide-eyed confusion until she saw the photos. "Ellie, what the hell?" she stammered. Ellie glared, at me, then at her. "Don't act shocked, Sarah. You knew I was seeing someone." Sarah's jaw dropped. "I thought you meant a fling, not Tyler. You said Jake was the best thing that ever happened to you." Ellie shrugged, unapologetic. "He was, until he wasn't." Sarah turned to me, her voice shaking. "Jake, I swear I didn't know it was this bad." I nodded, but my focus was on Ellie. "Get out," I said, my voice low, final. She laughed, actually laughed. "You're kicking me out? Good luck. Surviving without me, Jake. You're nothing without someone to hold your hand." She grabbed her purse and stormed out, leaving the photos scattered like a battlefield. The apartment felt hollow without her, but the real war was just beginning. I wasn't nothing. I wasn't the pathetic puppy they thought I was. I spent the next week digging, bank statements, leases, everything we'd shared. Ellie and I weren't married, but we'd pooled money into a joint account for rent, bills, her car payments. My money, mostly, since her freelance income was spotty. I found withdrawals I hadn't authorized, hundreds funneled to cash, apps I didn't recognize. Tyler's name wasn't on them, but the timing matched her late nights. She'd been bleeding me dry while laughing about it. That's when the plan formed, cold and clear in my mind. Revenge wasn't about hurting her. It was about taking back what was mine and making them feel the weight of their own choices. First, I called my lawyer, a sharp woman named Carla, who'd handled my dad's estate years back. "We're not married, so it's simple," she said. "Close the joint account. Reclaim what's yours. She's got no legal leg to stand on." I drained it that day, $8,000. Every cent I'd put in, transferred to my personal account. Next, the car. Ellie drove a blue Honda I'd bought her 2 years ago, title in my name because she couldn't get financing. I listed it online, sold it to a guy across town for $12,000 cash within 48 hours. She'd left it in our parking spot, assuming I'd let her keep it. Tough luck. Then I tackled the apartment lease. My name only, thank God. I gave notice to the landlord, packed my stuff, and moved into a cheap studio 2 cities over. Ellie didn't know yet, but she'd find out soon enough. The confrontation came a week later. Ellie showed up at the old place, banging on the door, her voice shrill through the wood. "Jake, open up, you coward!" I'd timed it perfectly. The locks were changed, my stuff gone, the landlord there to hand her an eviction notice. I watched from my car across the street as she spun on him, furious. "What do you mean he's gone? This is my home." The landlord shrugged. "Not anymore, lady. Lease is up." She called me then, her voice a mix of rage and panic. "Where's my car, Jake? Where's the money? You can't do this." I kept my tone even, cold. "I already did. You wanted Tyler. So bad, let him take care of you. I'm done being your punching bag," she screamed. "You're pathetic. Tyler's twice the man you'll ever be." I smirked, unseen. Good, then he won't mind the extra baggage. But the real lesson wasn't for Ellie. It was for Tyler. I dug deeper with Mitch's help, found out he owned that Mustang free and clear, his pride and joy. He was a mechanic, small-time, with a garage on the edge of town. I didn't touch the car, nothing illegal, nothing YouTube would flag. But I knew how to hit him where it hurt. Tyler had a reputation, bragged about it on social media. The tough guy who could fix anything, bed anyone. I sent an anonymous tip to a local car enthusiast blog, complete with Mitch's photos of him and Ellie at the motel, captioned, "Tyler's real talent? Stealing girlfriends and breaking homes." It went viral in our small city, comments piling up, clients bailing, his garage's Yelp page tanking with 1-star reviews calling him a sleaze. His precious rep crumbled overnight. Ellie called me. Again, days later, her voice raw, desperate. You ruined him, Jake. Tyler's losing everything. His business, his car's next if he can't pay the bills. Where am I supposed to go? I leaned back in my new place, a glass of whiskey in hand, the city lights winking outside. Sounds like his problem, Ellie. You picked him. Live with it. She sobbed. I didn't mean for this. I thought you'd just let me go. I laughed, soft and bitter. I did. I let you go straight to the mess you made. Enjoy it. I hung up, the silence sweeter than any apology she could have offered. Weeks passed, and word trickled back through mutual friends. Ellie and Tyler were holed up in his dingy apartment, fighting constantly, her designer dreams fading as his garage bled cash. She'd lost the car, the cushy life I'd given her, and now she was stuck with a man whose ego couldn't handle the fallout. Me. I took the $20,000 from the account and car, quit my soul-sucking IT job, and started freelancing, coding on my terms, traveling when I wanted. I wasn't healed, not fully. The betrayal still stung, a dull ache behind every quiet morning. But I'd taught them a lesson they'd never forget. Mock me, break me, and I'd rise sharper, stronger, leaving them to choke on the wreckage. Love's a gamble, sure, but trust, that's a currency you don't spend twice. Ellie thought she could cash me out and walk away laughing. Tyler thought he could play the big man without paying a price. They were wrong. And as I sit here, rebuilding my life one sunrise at a time, I know one thing for damn sure. The only fool left in this story is the one staring back at them in the mirror. Hey, listeners of Girlfriend Betrayal Diaries. Thanks for diving into this tale of betrayal. Where are you tuning in from today? Have you ever faced a girlfriend's double cross like this? Or maybe pulled off your own epic comeback? Drop your thoughts below and don't forget to follow Girlfriend Betrayal Diaries for more stories of love gone wrong.